That was us. Ah.
We transformed into dots and lines and triangles.
uh, Hello, Naoto.
Hello.
So that was Mio Sinclair Pathfinder, fixed by you.
Yes. It's
Uh,
already actually 5 years ago I fixed it.
then you fix it.
Whoa.
Was quite some time ago. Yeah,
This
man.
is not green screen, by the way.
Yeah. So we are in Mainz, Germany. The Hochschule Mainz. And where I am doing, Motion Bank. For those of you who know who's Motion Bank, for those of you better who don't know what Motion Bank is a place of an iconic place for dance and technology, and they are attached somehow as part of the Hochschule. And I have been doing here my internship for the studies that I'm finishing in interaction design. Yeah, so then Naoto came here to say hello, and also because tomorrow we do a practice using the motion capture system the Motion Bank has. So tomorrow we will be doing a practice with motion
Yeah,
capture.
maybe we should use the Pathfinder as well somehow in the practice. I don't know.
Could be.
It's
Could
not
be.
defined.
It's not defined.
It's a fluid, queer conversation between technology and bodies.
Yes. Yes. That's yes. So yeah, then tomorrow, yeah, we'll see tomorrow. I guess we will be doing a practice, and also the BR will maybe appear.
It's been a while.
We will see what happens. Yeah, when was the last? I think we did this like
The
in
Tanz
December.
House.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was December.
December. Wait, the practice.
Yeah.
Because we did short one at Tan's house.
Yeah.
Like I was at Tan's house, you were remotely, and then we did. Yeah, we did. Did we do it when I was in Japan? I was.
Yeah.
We did something like a kind of experiment for the
We did
Tan's
something.
house thingy
We did something. I think we did a practice while you were at the house.
for the installation idea.
Yes,
wanted
we did
to
a we did
experiment
one
with
we did
that.
one practice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was because I won't consider like the practice we did in Tan's house. You were in the same place. But yeah. Anyway, so let's say when we are not doing this regularly for, let's say every week or every 2 weeks, maybe from could be 6 months.
I think I checked and
When was the last time?
because we had like a series of practices like last summer that were like in the same space, like PAF.
That was the last time that we were doing practices.
Yeah, like the but not like original practices,
No,
right?
because
It
it's
was in the
still-
same space, and then that was PAF. Like we did like twice or three times, like twice maybe, and then
Like like the performance.
hybrid, yeah,
Hybrid performance.
and then the other time in Vienna that we did,
There's performance also.
yeah, and then like before that there was the original series that we did.
And I think, yeah, I guess also because I was busy in June with seats and the school thing, the
But I
final
think
work.
we had some in June.
So it should be like in June, July, the last time,
Yeah.
around that time.
Yeah.
So it is
Like 9 months, more,
so like 8-9 months, yeah,
Yeah.
of like digital practice.
Well, again, this is like a same space.
It's
so-
true because this is still will be like using VR.
Yeah.
Is not I mean we will have motion capture VR,
And we're in the same space.
and we are in the same space also. And that's why I propose also to now to do like 2 hours instead of 1 hour. And this format we used it when we were doing in the research at PAF, and when basically we wanted to
Puff.
PAF.
Puff. Puff. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's very exciting to see tomorrow what happens.
Yeah. It will be like, I don't know how it's gonna be, but I feel but maybe it's good that we haven't done it for some time, so it's not like we have the flow of the the regular practice. So it's like, you know,
Yeah, but
whatever comes is new.
yeah, but also I'm curious because you have been working in a different way, like, but you have been working with glitches and with a similar content. I will say, I guess the approach is different, but let's say the content in a way is overlaps. Uh, the work that you have been doing with Flor,
Yeah.
Flor de Fuego.
Ah.
Hola, Flor. Probably she be one of the persons who watch.
Yeah.
I know that she could be one.
I know
of those
she likes the videos.
Yeah. So, anyway, so
Muchas gracias.
gracias por mirar, Flor. But yeah, so I'm curious because in a way you have been rehearsing in a different way, but you have been working extensively with Hydra.
True.
So I'm very curious.
And we're moving too.
And you're moving also. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
So I feel completely behind because I guess the last time I guess I used Hydra and JavaScript before I was coming to Minds
Oh,
because
I thought you do the front end development.
because I thought that maybe I have to do front end development and motion plan.
And I did front end. I mean, not for Motion Point, but for Hydra. For those who watching, I don't know. It sounds like I'm talking to the audience, but like doing this Hydra documentation stuff, and that's kind of not like you know, it's not like a commercial front end, but it's still some front end coding.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be funny to do like a practice. Like in the end, we have the to-do app with the front end.
With Hydra.
No, maybe not. Actually, I made a to-do app with Hydra.
I remember, yeah, there's one of
Yeah.
the videos in YouTube,
Yeah.
with the framework
Yeah.
that you use, Torus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was I think it's funny idea.
yeah. So what's up? So what
Yeah.
are we talking? No, I wanted to like. So I was waiting like for now to talk about this idea of. So in short, so I have been working and I have been doing an applied research on the graphical representation of dance in VR at Motion Bank, and it's applied somehow because, or it's applied, and it's not an artistic research in the sense that basically I'm working trying to find the best geometrical model that can help for the experience of dance in VR.
Yeah.
So it's applied in that way.
So like, I don't know what's a good example, but if you have like motion capture, you have like like mostly like rigging with some 3D models, or you can have skeleton with just dots and lines, but what you're doing is to explore what kind of representation,
Right.
or like geometric shape that can be, I don't know. So what's the goal again?
Like the goal is like to give agency to the mover, like the mover user.
So the mover is watching it.
The mover user is it's me in that case, so it's the person who is inside of VR.
Yeah. So you see yourself in there.
Then you see yourself, you see an instance of yourself.
Right.
That in this case is a geometrical figure. That after a research and after passing through different geometrical models, I decided that it was a square controlled by the hands and by the feet. So then you have a square where you engage the upper part of the body and the lower part of the body.
Like, just to be precise, it's like square in a sense that you have 4 lines
Yeah.
that connects
Yeah.
the 4
Four,
corners.
two and two here. Yeah.
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 So, but like, what's the methodology? Like, so it was like you are developing, and also you are the subject. You are kind of interviewing or examining yourself through the process, or is
Yeah.
it other people
No,
involved?
like so. Maybe I think I can use then my text to
Oh,
go
yeah.
through this. So I was So in my research, what I'm doing is documenting in a form of a journal, in a Google document, uh, from a technical point of view and from a dance point of view. What does it mean to work with a state of the art technology for motion capture, VR, and a dance studio? So basically, with the state of the art or best conditions for dance and technology, then Motion Bank has the possibilities. That's why I invite Naoto, because like to use a motion capture system is very expensive, and not only economically because it's first it's expensive, but also time wise, which at the end is money, right? So because I have been here, so we can use the system, but also is set it up. So we don't have to spend that time also in setting up the system, but we can just jump in, record the data, and then go out after with the data. That's
Yeah, that's really important because I remember, so 3 years ago I was here to join the CCL, which was organized by this motion bank and
the choreographic
the
coding lab.
choreographic coding lab. Well, you know it because anyways, like you know it. So the thing was that the event was happening. It's like a hackathon kind of thing for 5 days, but not competition. People just explore with technology and movements. And although they have the space here, had to set up like from kind of scratch at the Kunsthalle Mainz
Mm-hmm.
by the river. And yeah, basically they brought all the equipment and set it up. So mostly Anton and Florian, they were like setting up the cameras and basically the same setup that you will see tomorrow. We haven't seen it. The cameras and the space where you can move. But it was really hard. Like I don't know, maybe just back then, maybe the software was different. But in the end, I think we couldn't get the real time data in like 5 days. Like they started setting up, and then it was like kind of you record it, and then you process the data, and you can
Yeah.
take it later.
Yeah.
But it's not like you move and see the lines moving.
No, that's so. Yeah, that's very. It's interesting that you mentioned that because so at the beginning of the process, I have been here. At the end, will be for 8 weeks, not 9 weeks. So and the total of my internship is 3 months. Um, which started with a CCL in Berlin. That's a different topic to talk at a different time because it was very special. Anyway, and so in the early week, so when I came here right away, I think the first week, Anton, which is like the person who really carried all the technical system in a way of Motion Bank, he knows so much, man. So he's like so much. Anton knows so much. Anyway,
And he's funny.
and he's super cool and he's super easygoing. He's a clown. He's a nice, friendly clown. He's super easy. Like anyway, hello Anton, if you are seeing this. And so he showed me how it works. Like he showed like the first Friday. This is this. You record like this. Bye bye. I go, and so I was okay. But then my idea was to work towards real time. Motion Bank has this application that was developed by Anton in actually for that CCL that is called Effect Data Player. It's an app that allows you to read a specific exported data. So the system, which is Capture, that's the name of the motion capture system.
It's a product.
Is a product
from some company, like
from
Capture company. I don't know.
It's called. So yeah, that's the product. So it's called Capture. How you call this kind of motion capture? This is markless, right?
Yeah, markerless camera, like image based.
This is based on artificial intelligence, no?
Yeah.
It's like pose, like estimation.
Yeah, like PoseNet or OpenPose, this kind of thing, but with a multi-camera, so
Yeah.
it gives 3D points.
Yeah, it will use like 12 cameras, and from there it will basically rig a skeleton, a volumetric figure, a skeleton of your body. So he that exports a BV hash format. That's the data. That's the data format of the data. That's the data that you get from Capture. Let's say. Uh, I mean, so you get all the 12 raw footage. You get the footage of each of the 12 cameras,
like videos,
like and different things in really big formats, like
some metadata,
metadata, like different things that I show you today. But so what is relevant for this conversation is like then what you really so that you use that BV hash format that I think is a 3D kind of format to so you use that extension and you transform it with the application the Anton created, and then you have a proprietary file. I don't know, but specific extension that you get. You transform the data into something that is readable for Effect Data Player.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what it is, but the only way how you can read the data afterwards is with Effect Data Player. So so back then, I needed to use the data from the Effect Data Player.
Okay, so you capture and then convert it, and then you reload it from the data player
into Touch Designer.
And Touch Designer, yeah, because the data player is just like a kind of hub that you connect other programs with WebSocket. Or
and I think in one of the previous chats, we showed that, like at some point when I was in Brussels. One time, one of the previous chats, I show the Fake Data Player,
Sure.
and then we see this. So it was basically the hub, indeed, of the data was passing through the Fake Data Player, and then via OSC, the Fake Data Player was sending the data to Touch Designer. And in Touch Designer is the tool that I'm using for data visualization. So that was at the beginning. I needed to do it in this way still, but I was looking towards going real time. Then the way how we did it was through Unity. So then we replaced the Effect Data Player for a Unity plugin. So Capture has this already made plugin, and then you can send in real time data from Capture to Unity, and then from Unity via OSC to Touch Designer. But at the beginning that was not working, and Anton needed to work on that. So I was for I think 2 weeks, I think until the second week he found some time, and he made it work because he needed to make it work in C++. And I think these days what he works is it's JavaScript, right?
I see.
So he needed to make it work. But I mean, at the end, I think he did it just with me. He just because I think that plugin is already made. You just have to make it work.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, you need to dive into C++ again. Anyway, so he made it work. And then I have that from the second week. I have already a real-time data, and he showed me how to calibrate the system. I didn't understand, to be honest, and I didn't really need it to recalibrate. I only recalibrate the system in the 5th week, before the week that I went to visit you in Dormant.
I see.
Because already I was testing, and I was needed some more I needed to have more feedback from the system. I started using the floor. I needed more responsiveness. I needed to have a system more. I needed to recalibrate the system.
But is it like the cameras were like a bit off, or you had to change the position?
No, not so. The cameras you don't touch them.
Yeah.
But it's just the calibration. It's kind of distincts in technology that.
Yeah, I think what happens with motion capture in time is it's so niche knowledge, but I think it's just physically with the weight it starts to deform the clamps or the structure which the cameras are attached to. So at some point you have to calibrate somehow. yeah, it's not like a really stable thing. And even if it's slightly moved, you have to calibrate it again to get precise results. So probably that's what happened.
Yeah.
It's just with time you have to.
Yeah, but there were so many things like, but yeah. Anyway, just not start a conversation. Like, there's so many factors. Also, I remember the day that I thought, okay, I want to calibrate. Now I need to start having more responsiveness of the system, and I spent so much time trying to recalibrate that thing, like more than 2 hours, and at the end it was. So I think I was given too much samples, and the system every time has to wait until it shows something, and sometimes was good but not so good. So at the end, I remember I did it quite fast and was good. After 2 hours, I realized that actually you need to give not so many samples,
Yeah.
and then it will be fine.
Yeah, camera calibration is like really tricky. Like, you kind of have to have like a, it's like you have to something master, something you have to master, and then you
Yeah,
like it's all these little tricks, and it's like not something you can like learn by from reading something like.
But yeah, but so I think in research I have this thing like I spent like 5 weeks. I spent 5 weeks until I got a system that it was reliable, something that I was more or less comfortable using. And so it took me 5 weeks until I was doing that. So in that process of today is the camera, tomorrow is the storage of one of the systems. The day after might be file optimization between three different OS systems because I'm using Ubuntu, Windows, and Mac. So all these things put together, it took up to 5 weeks until I was like more or less like, okay, now I have something more or less that I can trust. Um, so I was saying that because I was kind of okay, and then from there, and then I started like doing more applying a methodology, which in a way was uh, basically proposing geometrical models, uh, then test them in VR, go dancing, uh, annotate or document how was the process of dancing. Was it good or bad in relation to this model? Adjust them and propose. I mean, adjust the model and do it again. That was the methodology that from the first week I thought I will just apply. That's what I'm saying and underline the applying research. I proposed this model, and the idea was just to do iterations with the model, with the methodology. And only from the sixth week I start doing applying somehow the methodology because I could trust the system. But then from the sixth week also I start thinking after a conversation with Florian how to capture the state, and then from that moment then everything changes because then if the research was about wait because then I think I just easier can reduce this. Yeah. So after a feedback session with Florian and Janet, I realized it and clarified that my focus on this research is not on aesthetics nor on composition. I will argue that my score is on experiencing and trying to capture the change on state to formulate, communicate with the system that I set up to pass along in the form of an online document that others and myself can revisit. So the whole, and that was in conversation with him, it says like, what you're here like, because my idea from the beginning, if by the way, like, so this will be a document that will be online, so you guys also can see it. So in the document, early in the document I said, and also it was in Berlin that I remember I talked with Anton where I didn't know what was gonna be this, and I said like, I was asking him about somehow like the internship, and he said like, what do you want to do? And I was like, oof. I was like, and then I started working with this idea of mapping, applying
like data to visualization.
yeah, like the original idea of the research was about like applying choreographic thinking on the mapping process that goes in data visualization.
Mm.
Uh, which how would you define mapping
Yeah,
in this context, for instance?
yeah. I mean, just because mapping can be like, because actually it's funny because the word I was not sure what you meant. Like when I like now I think I understand it, but at first you said, because you were always saying, you know, I'm gonna work on mapping, and because mapping can be like anything, but I guess what you mean is like you get the data from the motion capture, like bunch of points, and it's like how to map it or like what to do with the data, or is it
No,
no?
no. Actually, if you go more, no, it's even going for it. I can use the also what I have in the document. It's like I think it's even coming from Wiki. Uh, so the mapping definition from Wikipedia defines mapping as the process of creating data element mappings between two distinct data models. So within a dance context, this means part of the human body will be represented and translated into data. So that's why I use it that because it says defines mapping as the process of creating data elements mappings between two different two different between two distinct data models, meaning one data model. So this is about matrices. One data model or one matrix will be the human body as a matrix in a way, and the other one will be visualizations in VR. So there are two ways to structure information to relate one the human body as a as a group, if you think in the practice and grouping. So one understanding the body as a group, and the other one data visualization as a group. So two different ways to uh, relate these two informational systems.
But like I think this is quite important, so I just want to clarify when you say the data of the body, is that something kind of conceptual in the sense of like physical body, or what you already captured with motion capture?
No, that's just like what I'm saying. What I said is just the. This is just cognitive in the sense is. This is an arm. This is a leg.
Mm.
It's just the way how we understand the human body.
So it's not about the data, but it's about the, yeah, like the cognition.
Yeah, it's about
Yeah,
like
yeah,
how you speak about,
yeah, because I think it's
and then how you basic, because that's what I was mentioning that it works in the as a matrix, as a matrix in mathematics. That maybe we can see what is a matrix. Hey Siri, what is a matrix?
In mathematics, a matrix is a rectangular array or table of numbers, symbols, or expressions, arranged in rows and columns, which is used to represent a mathematical object or a property of such an object. Should I keep going?
No, thank you. That was Siri.
wow.
So, but that's why I was mentioning the matrix. It's just about how to structure information. So that's why I use the wiki, because in the wiki they use this reference of two distinct data models. Again, then I'm mentioning the body as a data model, meaning arm, legs, head as a data model that you can put it in a Excel sheet, vis-a-vis other model that you still have to define as data from motion capture, for instance.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that you still have to define.
Yeah. No, it's just that I think now it makes more sense to me, and I think it's like, yeah, I have to read the document again, like to kind of see all these details. But it's like one thing I just thought is it's really like depends on the target readers, like for this text, but it's really like important to choose the right words or like define the keywords, because for mathematic, like people in like mathematics or people in programming, this mapping word can, or people in dance, like people can have like really different interpretations, and some people really take it like really like well, everyone takes it serious, but like can be like misleading depending on audience.
Yeah.
And I mean it was happening already with me, so
Yeah.
yeah, I mean of course like you can argue that I should have read the document thoroughly, but then it's not always the case that people would read it.
Yeah, but no, I can. Like, yeah, it's a not really ambiguous word. So word. So it's true. Like
Yeah.
because I think mapping. If you think like the first thing you will think is a map, which is not far away from reality. Maps, like a graphical. I mean, the visualization, like the map of a country, is basically is structuring information also.
I don't know, because I thought it's more like literally mapping, because it's not the the physical space, but it's a representation because it's mapping from this physical space or the coordinate into the coordinate of the paper.
So
it's
between
like
two
that's a
different
mapping.
systems, yeah.
Two different system,
Yeah.
or two different, I don't know, coordinates to be like
Which is like the matrices are like defining as basically two coordinate systems.
right. But then what's tricky here is that it's not necessarily the numbers or digits that we're working with, like when it comes to mapping in a like more broader sense, because if we're looking at the like a geographical map, it's still like we're talking about numbers, like we know
Yeah.
that which position in the
Yeah, yeah.
space, in which position in the paper. And
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I
it's,
think about, for example, like mapping in like using processing to map body into like lines, then it's the same thing, because like body in a sense that, like, let's say use Kinect or some motion capture, then we already get the data, the numbers, where x, y, z of the joints, for example, that you get this set of data, and then you map it to lines or map it to circles. It's still like we work with exact coordinates
Within the same system.
within, I mean, different systems. Always it's mapping, I mean, it can be same system, but the physical space of motion capture area
Mm-hmm.
into the 2D visualization of the screen or window. But I don't know if you meant like, because you said cognitive, it's like, because it's not something that you can, I mean, this is kind of becomes like a trackable quality thing as well, but it's not that we have the exact position of the joint, because you can define where the joint is, or like shoulder can have like different joints in your body, and what you get in motion capture is kind of abstraction that you assume that it's like a solid skeleton that you are wearing, and it's
Yeah.
already, there is this mapping from this physicality into the data of the motion capture.
Yeah,
And
it's not the
this
body. It's not the body. It's exactly.
not the body. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a representation of the body.
Exactly,
Yeah. But yeah, so I think as like this like the conversation with mapping that can go in the infinite, like it's
This
but
is still-
it's a very complex thing because of all the things that we were just saying. So maybe we should pass that.
Yeah.
So Daniel Bissig, a person who was doing a research here and somebody who knows a lot about artificial intelligence, he was doing a research on mapping, but really from I guess all these complex things that we just spoke somehow. But yeah, so I think what I wanted to tell you somehow was about the scores we were talking about, like annotations and scores at the end. I think I wanted to tell you, so like in the first, so it took me like 5 weeks to define like the system, and then the six week I start working with this how to capture the state, so how to use the system that I have, that I set up to capture my state for me to afterwards communicate and pass along for people. And then during that process is when I got really stuck because I thought that okay, this is about I need to use annotations but also scores, and then I was like okay, these two things are really entangled with the state, and I got like stuck for 2 weeks in this process. And then in that process I talked with the David Rittenhouse, that's called his last name I think, and it's called De La Junta, which are part of Motion Bank.
And founder of CCL as well. I mean, Motion Bank and CCL.
Yeah, I think he was like, yeah, he was at the beginning also with the Foresight company also, Scott, and he's kind of like a really well known person in digital dance and technology, I guess. And so anyway, because I think it's easier if I just use things on my text to not go around. Mm. Hmm. So I at some point in the document in the journal I said, okay, so officially I'm stuck. Thinking about annotations and scores. I don't know what to record. Um, yeah. Then I also I put it in the notes like for tomorrow morning as today I refuse to dance without knowing my purpose. Why can't I just dance? I'm kind of numbed. I don't know what to do. I am struggling. Don't know what to do about annotation scores. This seems to me goes towards composition, aesthetic, functional, or structural decisions that might improve the work. I am not composing an art piece. I am applying choreographic thinking. Somehow, this is applied or structural while coding. So, as you see, as you can feel in that, it's just it just seems to me that it's, all these things are super entangled, coming from different places. Um, wait, so in a way, so I say like annotations are a sensitive, affective, effective process. In choreographic figures, which is the book that I use very often in this research. Don't remember exactly right now the writer, but then they define notations. So no annotations, but notations. They refer as in two ways. Like you can see it in two main different ways. One that is singular and the other one that is shareable, meaning that one of these annotations can be only for yourself, so could be part of the process, so you don't need, could be gravels, could be drawings that people don't really have to understand, but or could be shareable. They in a way divide these notations, that is not annotation but is a way to notice.
So you're talking about notation and annotation.
I'm talking this from the perspective of annotations.
Okay.
And in the book they refer about annotations within not to notice, like when you are in a practice, like this practice of sense making, or like you go into the space and then you start basically figuring out what you're gonna do. Then when you notice there are changing dynamics of energy, how you react to things, so when there are changes on the state, then you notice. then you basically, or you write down, or you find strategies to how to capture the state somehow.
Okay. Yeah, I like. I don't want to be like. I keep asking the keywords, but like already I have a lot of questions because like so my understanding of notation is something like, for example, like level notation that you kind of more like a score that you write, but it could be a score, but it's something to represent like the movement, for example. And annotation is something more about the quality that, for example, you watch the rehearsal or the performance, and then at this time you did something or like it can be comment or it can be just description of the movement. I mean, that's something I know about annotation, dance annotation, that motion bank has been doing. That's notation and annotation. And then there's another question that I had. I didn't ask because I thought it's gonna block the flow. But what is the state? Like what you want to you were saying, like you want to capture the state, but is it like a internal state? Is it like a external state, or is something
So
both?
I think then I referred, like I based this in part from the book, and I just define it. I go with the it's changed on dynamics, and one is like energy dynamics. So when I feel energetically something is changing, so then it's more physically, and the other one there is more cognitive, more like my brain is doing it.
Like consciously thinking, like, okay, I should do this, for example. Or
When there's changes in dynamics, yeah, could be, but could be.
I mean, it's probably different for everyone. So
Yeah,
it's
but
hard
like,
to say.
I think at the core. Wait, what was it? I think also in the book they define it. I don't see it. It's in the document. I don't remember by heart, but I think that the idea is like, um, there are changes on dynamic I think they use this idea of figuring and figure. Um, but then, no, I think then we go to another. It will becomes endless. This. So because I'm trying just to go to a point here is that, but I will say like the state will be defined as a big picture when there are changes on dynamics, energy dynamics, and that could be physically, that I decide now to move there, or could be then just like that while still physically staying, I know that now I start thinking on my mom. So still in both states, there are changes of dynamics. One is physically, and the other one is mental. But there is a change on a dynamic, and then I have to. Then I can go with it or not go with it.
Yeah, because that's. I think you wrote something about state, like about time or like space kind of thing. Because like what you just said, sounds like the state in terms of like more like a change that you said. Because for me, like what state sounds like is like kind of a snapshot in time. So it's like not change, but like what was before the change and after the change. But you wrote something about it, right?
But I think both are related. Like that. I think both are like the state somehow. But this is I don't find it. I guess the right words, but it's in the document. Should be is in relation to. It's a snapshot. Yeah, on time. But if you go, it goes somewhere. So let's say into a practice will be is in relation to how you can again to so in my practice I was trying to find the ways how can I find strategies that help me to capture the state. So then to notice with annotations or with something that something changed now I need to put it or in a paper, or like one of the strategies that I took in the research is like I create a sphere and then I put it in a 3D space. So then if I was with the VR and something happens, then I just go inside of the ball. Then afterwards, then I could see, then I can notice maybe I was trying to say something. I was doing an annotation, let's say.
Because you have to do an annotation by yourself in real time. That you don't, you want don't want to miss them.
But so like maybe I just will go I think to this like shortly because I think it touches different things quite clear. So in conversation with David, I asked him, what are annotations in the context of dance and technology? How do you see them? How do you use them? So because of the conversation entangled different aspects on different fields, I will just put like bullet points. That's the way how I describe it here from the conversation with him. He will speak about documenting rehearsal, descriptive, you can jump, not have to see all the video, keywords, pay attention, take decisions, more cognitive than sensual. It helps to take distance from material. So then what I write is annotations are a sensitive, affective, yet effective process that in the book are in a big picture divided in two ways. A singular for yourself or shareable that you have to articulate more and make and know that other people will go into that. But then other way that I see this is more so that's the book and then the way how I see it in my case is a description so to communicate or in composition and this composition can go individually or in a collective. So in a nutshell, I see annotations, I said, in two main different categories. One that is live, in person, and there are strategies to notice that something has changed. Example that I was used, the pink sphere that I mentioned. Or post with the pre-recorded with a pre-recorded dance material, and you can be like, you can use it to try to new findings on new material or to dive into unknown dance material or to yeah. So but in a big picture I see it or live or a post are two different things. And that's going to what you were saying. That's where at some point I got really, you know, like this thing confusion that you have, I was like in that space for 2 weeks, like, and what is that I have to do with these tools? And then is when then after in the documentation I start speaking about this thing. So like and then like so this is somehow is like related to this course. So then I will just read the same thing that in conversation with Scott I asked the same question that I asked about annotations to David, and then I have some bullet points. Instructions, meaningful marks. How is the score accessible? Marking practice. Make accessible for others, like an anthropologist. Principles that can be used for others. Things that happen. If you think you don't have enough time, you can speculate. Is the score accessible? What does it communicate? In a choreographer handbook, Jonathan Burroughs says, a score is a conscious way to distance you from the thing that you are making or doing. I will go one step further, and that's my assumption, and add that annotation and scores have in common that they are a conscious way to distance you from the thing that you are making or doing. So based on the information that I collect from different sources and include my own experience, within my context, I see the score in two ways. I script what is going to happen in a space, digital, virtual, or physical, for a certain amount of time, or a suggestion why might happen in a space during a certain amount of time.
Okay. So I'm overloaded, and but I have constructive comments, like why I'm overloaded and why I'm saying this, because I think this Jonathan Burroughs words are really important. That I think, I mean, you're already doing this process, but like by like talking with, having like comments from others, but like I think it's really, so you're the kind of developing practice, not just like a practice in terms of being there and using VR, but you are developing this whole like methodology and process, and but you are the, but that's the process, that's a practice you develop. That's really that's so valid. But at the same time, you are in there and you are analyzing or like investigating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very hard to communicate with others. Like I know that you're using. I mean, you're going through all these books and ideas, which is really helpful. But like still, at least to me, it's difficult to grasp because there are so many details that I cannot understand because I'm not in that process,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And I think that's really like what the same problem as we had in the practices that we've been doing, that we really understand and we share that between us, but it's always so hard to communicate with other people, that other people know that okay, it's something that is valid, something interesting, but still it's hard to understand.
Yeah.
And I feel the same with like what you've been doing, that it's so valid, it's so valuable, but at the same time I have to say okay, I'm overloaded, or like
Yeah.
okay, that's something really good, but I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think yeah, like but that's something that we have to think about. I mean, in the kind of big picture, that like how to deal with this struggle. And I think in the end we have to kind of really like narrow down, like we strip off like so many things and like decide like what you want to communicate, because we have all this knowledge, experience, practice, but if you want to tell this rich thing to other people, then you have to like choose what's the core, and you have to like kind of, well, maybe not simple language in the academic context, but it's still like it's the same in the academic context, because in the academic context, for example, if it's like a dance researcher, then they have some kind of like words that they use.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
like you have to like kind of adapt to that, which you have to like take all these like rich thing, like flesh from the what you have, and it, you know, strip down to this like really skinny bone. But like I think we have to go through that process somehow, like for our practice, for your practice, for my practice.
But yeah, exactly. So that's what I was mentioning. Like that's, and I think I was trying to do that today when we were walking. That like the experience to being forced and try to communicate these things is really complex, because they're entangled an applied thing or a practical thing that is functional within technology, within the embodied stuff.
Yeah. That already is hard, and it's so multidisciplinary that it's like so embodied, but also so distanced from the technology.
But that's why, for instance, so because basically I completely agree in what you said. Like for instance, to in this specific case, what I guess you will have to do is a process that's what I decided at some point is not what I'm doing right now. I'm just doing a journal that is, and a part of the abstract at the beginning of the paper, it says like concepts here will be constantly like mentioning different times, and like I'm constantly contradicting or revisiting things, because it's the way how it happens. Um, but what I realize is what you see, that basically you will have to go few times in loops until you get the essence what you're trying to say. So I completely understand what you're saying, but then basically you have to first trying to communicate,
Of course,
and already
yeah.
that's so and that's so, and that has been the exercise of just doing this journal.
Yeah, I mean, this itself is a practice. It's kind of
Yeah,
in the meta level, or
yeah, yeah.
not maybe not meta.
And then I think I have to say like, and then and with this I also like to say like to thank also to Florian, like to Motion Bank also is to is that I feel very lucky in the sense that because I have a specific case of use. So in this case, trying to find the best graphical model to help me to dance in VR and experience that in VR, then I can start. Then I was forced to try to find words. Otherwise, I will not have. Or I mean, I'm not forced to do that. So
Yeah.
like that's their case, for instance. Even though, for instance, we have the chat, there is a space that we try to think what we're doing. It's not the same of like trying to reduce and
Right. I mean, it's for us that we do for the chat. So that's the first step to communicate.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so many things I want to expand, but also I think we should
I think we should.
stop.
But
stop.
wow, this has been way longer.
Yeah, I mean,
This is just
it's late.
55 minutes.
Well, that's quite long.
Yeah,
For a
but
conference talk, it's
yeah,
too long.
but yeah, this that's what, like, I think, like, it's just so important, I think, in this context of dance. Yeah, I think in our context is dance and technology, what art and technology and dance and technology, is to try to talk about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because the difference with art somehow is art, liberal art, it defines its own language. And in this field, because it's so attached to design and functionality, it needs to, I mean, the exercise of being forced to communicate is so important.
And it's already like, two parties from dance and technology, they speak completely different languages,
Yeah.
and that's like, and that's why it's not happening so much.
But like, so that's what I was trying to say, like, to you, like, from my experience, for instance, like, then I see, like, now after being with Motion Bank for 3 months, I understand also, getting this, I'm talking, getting from conversation, eating the pizza with Florian, and all these things that, and actually in the text at some point I said, like, it's called, it speaks about this, that Motion Bank was like this idea that the people normally will have a motion bank, and the graphical representation of foresight and these big companies into this cool stuff. This is more related to a score, in the sense of what you do with that data. But that was an early stage of this.
Of Motion Bank.
But Motion Bank now is more about annotation. And then in a way, it's like both things are intrinsical, but in a way, the score, in a way, is kind of like a big umbrella, where annotation, in a way, comes in. Like, an example of this, for instance, is like, annotations are more complex to understand because they're so sensitive and in different layers, but a score is more practical.
Yeah, I get, because I was like thinking about some examples. Like, score can be really, like, let's say lava notation again, like something that is really kind
Like,
of
literally, but literally, a score means in German a Partitur. It means literally a score is the script that the musician will read. So in that sense, that's what I define it between two ways, and that's actually it's Boris who defined it between one, a script that is just, exactly from beginning to end, before starting, what is gonna happen, which is a music script. But also could be a suggestion in dance. Let's say, so even though it's a script, somehow it's more like suggestions of what things that might happen.
Yeah,
you don't have to do it, but they're suggestions.
Yeah, but that's something I was thinking with, like, so notation can be, very rigid, but also, for example, like the Jorge that Motion Bank worked with in the past, that's like just text, right, and some drawings. That is a score.
But are you talking about, like, now, like, the score?
Score, I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
So it's like, looks like so open-ended, but in fact, it's about doing the performance. So it's like kind of, trying to kind of converge to something. Like, even if it's so vague, so abstract, it's something that has an aim to do the performance.
Yeah.
But then annotation is so open-ended. Like, it can be anything. And it doesn't have to converge, but it's the other way around.
It might converge also, but, like, for instance, like, that's what it was, I guess, more complex. I think, for instance, like, a good case scenario, like, with, if you think with clients or like dance technology people, is like Moses, in a way, is close to score. People will understand and just get into. It's a polishing tool somehow, but the piece maker as a thing is hard to get because it's like, why should I use this thing?
Mm.
You know, so annotations are an effective and yet effective process that has so many layers that only with experience in years of this thing that you can in a way grasp. But it's what you said is like, it's just um, it's not the thing that you will see in first. It's not the score is something that you will gratify you right away. Yet both are and interrelated.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, perhaps we can expand on it, or we can talk about something. But I guess we can do another chat tomorrow. Hopefully.
We'll see what happens tomorrow.
With the energy.
I think now it's 11. It's, although officially it's just 10.
Well, no, officially it's 11.
Officially it's 10. Yes, it's
biologically, or
we are in 10.
Yeah.
But
I'm still wandering between time zones.
But yeah, so maybe just we close here.
Yeah. So we'll do it. I don't think it's gonna be live streaming, but no, it's not gonna be. But we'll upload. And,
we will upload it.
So.
All right.
Enthusiastic people, please watch it once it's uploaded. Thank you for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to our channels.
And we'll see each other in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.